On this channel, I typically show you items that I've bought, my reviews of them, whether I think they were worth the money or not, and how I style them. Today, I would like to do something a little bit different. I want to take you with me through the process of how I shop online, how I filter for certain brands, how I select items that should only go into my wish list for the time being, and how do I make a decision whether I want to buy the item already right away. And most importantly, how do I know if this is something that I want and can buy below retail price? And stay with me until the end because I'm going to give you a short introduction into how I shop Yves Saint Laurent or Saint Laurent on Yoox, which I promise you has excellent deals, especially for shoes, sometimes for handbags, and also for accessories. So today I want to start with Yoox. I think Yoox is really one of the best websites where you can really hunt for excellent deals from many different brands, way up below retail, way below anything you might even find on sale in the stores during the annual sales process. I think Yoox does require you to spend more time on it. You need to do a lot of digging. There are a lot of things that you might not necessarily like. So yes, it is not as curated maybe or specialized as Mytheresa or Net-a-Porter, but I can promise you the prices you will find here are often much cheaper than what you find on any of these websites. I always encourage you to create your own account in Yoox. You should definitely do that so you can save items in your wish list or the dream box as it's called here. Of course, it will be curated to your country where you're shopping from. I'm in Austria, which is why you also see my website in German. You see also a lot of things that I say from my husband because they really also have great things for men. But of course, my dream box is mostly biased towards my items. And you typically see a lot of brands that I like to review in my videos, like Max Mara, Manolo Blahnik, Saint Laurent, especially for the shoes, Agoldi, Nili, Lotan, and other ones that I simply like their items or I'm considering buying and I save them here. At the bottom of your dream box, you will always see items that are already sold out. Either they are completely sold out or there are other colors or other sizes available for you, which might not have been your first choice. I tend to like to keep them just so I could always refer to the brand again. For example, I don't know the heart so well, but I knew I liked that item. So even though this is maybe not my size, typically I would still save it just so I know that I could always click back on it and check what other items they have included from this particular brand. Know that I like Max Mara across all its brands, and as you can see, my dream box is quite biased towards Max Mara, so I really check for Max Mara items very regularly on Yoox. One thing that is very cool here is that they have, besides the fact that they have so many items from Max Mara, is that you can really search for the Max Mara sub-brand. So for example, I could just put Max Mara now and look how many of the designers come up here as an option. I have the normal Max Mara, Weekend Max Mara Studio, S Max Mara, Sport Max Code. I could even put Max Mara the Cube and it would have its own items. These are typically the nice down coats that they have, the feather ones. I have about two different items from them. They're usually this gilet style or vests. So you also have them here. And typically when you're on this website option, as you can see, you just search for the brand. You automatically see what are the sizes available. These are German sizes, but you always have the size charts according to the original designer when you click on the item. So I'm going to show you that as well. So you see these are German 40 and 42, but then you have the size chart for that particular designer. You see the international size, the Italian size, which is the case of Max Mara, and the German size, which is applicable to the area where I live. In Max Mara, I know very well what are my sizes. So I'm typically size 40 for their trousers, 42 for coats and for tops. And this is the equivalent of about an M. Of course, it varies depending on the product, but this is really great. So I could tell you that typically every other day or every 2 days, I would go to the Max Mara designer page, and I like to see what items they have added. So what I typically do here is I like to organize it according to new items that they have added. They usually mark them with this just in. You know that these items just came in. They're probably going to lower down in price as long as they stay available on the website. So you can really see if there's anything new or fresh that has been added. So how I typically like to shop here is, besides the fact that I would first and foremost filter for the designer, I would also do other filters like the size. So you see you have the shoe sizes separately from the clothes sizes. So you could do this too. I could also filter for material. This is something I also like to do depending on the product that I'm looking for. So you have everything from cotton, cashmere, linen, leather, silk, wool, and so on. Colors, I think, is also very important. Depending on your color palette, you would know which colors you're looking for. Or let's imagine that you're looking for a Max Mara coat in the color black. So I would first filter for this color, and I would go to the category section, and I would only filter for coats and jackets. And then I would see all items that they have in that category, in that color, what is available. And then I can decide if I just want to save it or if I want to immediately proceed to checkout and buy it. S Max Mara is another brand that I look for often on Yoox. I like this. It's a more casual brand of Max Mara. Their prices are usually lower. They have really good sweatpants, hoodies, and also a lot of summer wear that you can wear from like linen and so on, and some cotton. So it's also a great brand. I would also sort it by newly added items and see what they have added into here. So for example, now I'm on the lookout for the hoodies to match the sweatpants from them that I bought. I usually use it as pajamas or loungewear at home. So I'm looking for something to match the tops. I found them from a really good deal here on Yoox, and now I want to find a really good deal for the hoodies. So far they're not available, but it's not something that I urgently need. So I'm simply waiting on it to show up, because it will show up. I think patience is something that we have to understand is one of the rules of this game. So as long as you don't need something urgently and you're patient, you will be able to find it eventually for a really good price. My dream box or wish list, as I've mentioned before, is really one of my favorite features of Yoox. You really can save your items here by size and by color, by brand. Everything is shown up here. And what it also shows you is, first of all, what is the lowest price this item had in the last 30 days. I'm not sure if this is just showing up in the European Union countries, because recently there has been a law added here that makes it mandatory for companies to demonstrate what was the lowest price in the last 30 days. This is a really good indicator to let you know if you are indeed buying something that's a good deal or not. Because as you can see here, this Dolce & Gabbana dress was priced for $324 in the last 30 days, and now it's priced for 391 euros. So therefore, you know that you're not actually getting the cheapest deal. Another thing Yoox does is that they typically show you what is the recommended price or the retail price for a certain item. It is not always correct, but as you can see, these Nili Lotan pants, for example, were retailing in the last 30 days for 99 euros. Currently, they're selling them for 174, which again, I would not be buying. And they tell you that generally the retail price for it is 560. So their offer is about 68% below the retail price. And you can see further explanations depending on your country, depending on where you are, on how the pricing is done here. Another thing that Yoox does very, very often, and you can see this also on their homepage, is that they often have additional promos to products. So as you can see now, they're having this promo which says certain items are priced at an additional 15% and 20% off. And you will normally see this when you check out from your shopping cart. Sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes, to be very honest, it's not worth it. So just to give you an example where this is simply a sales trick that you shouldn't fall for, here is a Balenciaga dress that you see is priced supposedly with an additional 20% as long as you shop above 250 euros, and you will have this discount when you check out with your shopping cart. The dress is currently priced at 897 euros. However, in the last 30 days, it was priced at 367 euros. So even with the supposedly attractive additional 20%, I would still not recommend you to buy this dress, because you know you can get it for cheaper. One other thing to consider, and you see this both in your dream box and also in the actual item page, is that you're usually told whether something is the last available item, so you know you should maybe act quickly if you really want it, or simply nothing shows up. So it means for that color and for that size, you simply can save it in your dream box and wait, because often the longer you wait, the more the price is likely to go down. Or there's still a few items available, therefore you should maybe keep a closer eye on what's going on with this item, especially if it's something you really want and you know that the price is very good. And just going back again to Max Mara, I have bought really a lot of Max Mara items from Yoox. And by the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but Yoox is part of the Net-a-Porter group. So it's definitely a reliable source that you can shop from. They are all part of a bigger group. They own several brands. Also the Outnet, which if you like, I can also do a dedicated video about. It's also a very good sort of outlet website, online shopping website from this Yoox Net-a-Porter group. I bought, for example, my Max Mara Manuela coat here on Yoox. The retail price of it back at that time was about 1,600 euros, and I bought it for a maximum 1,200 euros, so I got a really good discount on it. You can usually see also Max Mara Teddy here, Max Mara Madame in several colors. Maybe I can even find a Madame. Let's have a look. You see, you have these shorter versions of the teddy. There is also this teddy in different sizes. If you like this brownish color, this would definitely be a good option. At 1,200, it's also way below retail. As you can see here, I do think the teddy is about 2,000 euros right now. So this is a good size, it's a good price if you like this color. And let's have a look if they have, they have a short Madame here. I think this is a short Madame version. Pretty expensive. I would not recommend this. I would recommend you to save this in your dream box if you like it. I would not pay for a short Madame 1,700 euros. And I think you should also refrain from that. Let's have a look. This one looks interesting. Let's have a look at the material composition and then we can know maybe what model is this. And this is actually something that I have to say I dislike about Yoox. You never know the exact model name. So you have to kind of wait for it to come home in order to see what is it that you ended up buying. So I don't think this is the Madame. It's also not the Manuela from what I can see. Yeah, for sure it's not the Madame because you don't have the buttons. It looks more like the Manuela. But this material composition indicates that it probably isn't, or it's some other sophisticated version of it. You usually see what is the materials that they use for the product, some information on the length and some details on it. So this information is always available to you. Oh, this version of the teddy was also really popular about a year ago. As you can see it here, about 1,700 euros, way too expensive for it. I think 24S was selling it a few months ago for like 1,200 euros. So again, if you like it, save it, do not buy it. Oh yes, here is a version of the Madame. Also from the price, in my opinion, way too expensive. First of all, a Madame does not retail for 3,000 euros. So you see, this is not always correct information that you see here. And 1,700 euros may seem like a good price, but again, for this, it's not the greatest. Although you do have 20% discount now. So all in all, it's not a terrible price if you like this. And if you like this color, if you like this model, and if it matches your style, I would say definitely consider buying it. I think I've only seen this color on sale on My Theresa. Yeah, just for reference, I wanted to show you that when you go to My Theresa and search for the Madame, you have pretty much the same code. As you can see, it's 1,600 euros, so 30% off. Most sizes are actually sold out on My Theresa, so Yoox would still be a more attractive option for you right now if you wanted to buy this coat, because if you do the discount of 20% from 1,700, you get a lower price. Again, here it's last item for size German size 34 and also for German size 36. So depending on how urgent it is for you, you may consider buying it. I would also say if you find that the German size 38 or M is your size on My Theresa, I would also recommend to save it to your wish list here, because sometimes My Theresa does an additional 10 to 20% discount on already discounted or on sale items. And then in that case, this would even be cheaper than Yoox. So another brand I wanted to show you on how I shop here is Nili Lotan. Nili Lotan is now really, I think, gaining more and more popularity also because of the new Devil Wears Prada movie. In general, I think this brand is stupid expensive. Like, honestly, I like luxury items. I like items that are good quality, and yet I really cannot justify some of these prices. I mean, they're absolutely insane, especially if you look at her retail prices, yeah? However, they are very good quality, and I actually bought 2 pairs of trousers from Yoox on really, really good discount that would normally cost me a lot more on her direct website, on her official website, or even on Net-a-Porter, even when it's on sale. I have this pair. I think it's called Ariel or Corette. Maybe it changed the name. This is a really good price. As you can see, it was cheaper in the last 30 days at 106 euros. Now it's 119, but you get the extra 15%. Pretty good sizes available. So this is a US size 2, US size 6, US size 8. I'm typically US size 4 with her, although I think US size 6 would also fit me quite comfortably. US size 2 is way too snug, so that would not work for me. These are 100% wool pants. They are really comfortable. They really just have a very, very good look to them. You can also watch my review video of them linked here. They don't have pockets, which is a slight disadvantage, I find. I personally like to have pockets, but just really good pants to use in winter. And now if we go to her official website, I think we can search for Corette, which was the name. Yeah, I think it was the Corette pant, exactly. So if we take this one, as you can see, 700. Okay, these are the striped ones, so not these. Maybe that's why they're priced a little higher. Yeah, let's have a look at this version here, which is this oxblood color. 690 euros. I mean, I really cannot justify this in any way. Yes, she might have sale. It might go down even by 50%, but a 50% discount nowhere compares to this price here on this website. And last thing I wanted to show you, as promised at the beginning of this video, is how I shop for Saint Laurent. So from Yoox, I've personally bought some shoes, some sneakers, which I've also reviewed, and I also have some tops that I actually bought a matching top for me and for my husband for, I think, less than 100 euros each here. It was just a silly t-shirt with a slogan that we actually liked, so we bought it a couple of years ago. There are also handbags here. There are accessories. So for example, if I were to go now to the bag sections, you will find Saint Laurent bags. Personally, I've never bought a bag on this website. I recognize some models, like this one looks kind of like the Sac de Jour, but I'm not entirely sure. I have not ever seen any of the models that I have on this website, so I do think some of them could be outlet items. I also don't know if they're good prices for the handbags, so it's hard for me to say, which is why I cannot right now give you a proper objective recommendation on that. But I can tell you that they do have belts, for example, for pretty good prices. Now I don't see anything too attractive. Well, this one is quite nice. 70 is quite a small size for me. But again, I cannot really comment if this is a good price, although we know that Saint Laurent has been increasing their prices over the last year quite significantly. I think even before this year, it's really been increasing quite significantly over the last couple of years. I kind of feel like they want to place themselves more in the level of maybe Chanel. I'm not entirely sure what is exactly the logic behind it, but obviously something is happening. I can also tell you that my local shop here in Vienna used to have sales happening twice a year, also on handbags, and they no longer do this already for quite some time now. So they're definitely trying to have another kind of pricing strategy. What I like to do on Yoox is, like I said, I like to search for their shoes. I find Saint Laurent shoes to be very, very pretty. I've heard their heels are so uncomfortable. Haven't tried them. I don't know any pair so far, but I am also looking into that. Maybe eventually I will find something that I like. But the two pairs of sneakers that I've actually bought, I've bought them also from the men's section, because what you can do, you can just switch to the men's section of Yoox. You can put Saint Laurent again in the search item. Then you would go to the category, you would select it for the shoes. You can even do specifically the sneakers, and you can go to the sizes. And let's say I would typically need a size 40, and I see all the size 40 items for sneakers that are available. And as you can see, some of them definitely can be worn by women. Like this pair, I think, is very, very nice. This one too, there is definitely a women's and a men's version for it. Same for this pair. So definitely very good variety, both in the women's and in the men's section. The reason I just ended up buying it from the men's was because it was cheaper. And let's try to play some comparisons versus retail. So I would go now into the women's section, and I would look for shoes, and I would look for sneakers. Let's have a look if we can find anything that's quite similar for a different price versus Yoox. This is the pair that I have. I have actually not worn it yet. I bought it a couple of months ago on Yoox. This is 650, and I definitely did not pay more than 300 euros for it. I think this pair, we just saw something similar to it on Yoox. Let us have a look. Okay, so let's go back to Yoox, see what we find. I'm just staying in the men's section, like I said, because the sneakers are pretty much similar for the men and for the women. I put the size 40, which is typically my size, and let's see if we find something similar. No, yes, I think these ones are quite similar. Could be that the lighting is a little bit different, but this looks very similar to what we saw on the Saint Laurent website. So this is a black sneaker, and if we go here, Yeah, I think this looks almost the same. Oh, here we have the rubber sole, calfskin leather, and information on the product care. And I think here we would also be told that it's 100% leather. So as you can see, these sneakers retail officially on their website, and if you go to the store, for 750 euros. Whereas on Yoox, they are currently priced at 464 euros. So here actually the retail price that they suggest you is actually close to the real thing. As you can see, like I said, I would be a size 40. There's still some items available. This would be the classic case where I would just save it in my dream box, because I am quite sure this item will be priced even lower in some weeks, some days, maybe even some months from now. So definitely a great example how you can shop for this kind of luxury items if you like them below retail. And this is just one example that I'm going to show you in these videos. Really, you have such a great selection here. Some of them are really like classic items that are always available. And as you can see, their prices are pretty attractive. Real idea into how I like to shop online, what's my process like, how I really try to shop for items below retail. If you like this format, let me know. I would do this into some sort of series. We could also cover more items on Yoox. Of course, this is really quite endless. There are so many brands here that you could look for, and strategizing how to get items for really good sale prices. We could also do the Outnet, My Theresa when they have sale, or Net-a-Porter. Yeah, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.